What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the 606 Whateva Podcast, where we touch on events and agendas around the world and feed them to you from a Chicago perspective.
Man, tell them I'm unapologetically black, melanin heaven. So keep your 2 cents. We charging much more about the rain on them. I can't contain it anymore. Let's go. Let's go.
If you don't know me, I am Big Mel, a.k.a. The Premise. Fellas, I got these guys sitting next to me. It's really no need for introduction, but to my left, we got Ray Skilly. What's up, baby?
What's happening, family?
To my right, we got Vince Sanity. Vince, what up, man?
What's going on?
So, so today we're going to get into a few things that everybody's been buzzing about, obviously, man.
I already know
if
where
you
you're
ain't
going.
heard what's going on in the National Football League, you must be under a log, deceased, in a coma, or something. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about this CPS thing once again. Kids are back at the crib. They not even letting them learn remote at this time because they struggling with the union and the mayor. This is a bag of bullshit, basically, was what's going on.
Yep.
We're going to talk about DeMar DeRozan, baby.
DeMar
is leading the East guards in votes for the All-Star game.
Sports story in Chicago.
We're gonna talk about him. He's looking great. This hip hop thing, man. I've been hearing a lot about this hip hop shit. It's a young man's game. If you approaching 40 or in your 40s, you need to stay out of it. So we're gonna get y'all thoughts on that too. And then you know what we're gonna end it at, Ray.
What?
The situation that
Doomsday Monday.
Yeah, it's just we're gonna park at that topic that you can never just get right. Man.
Okay.
So we'll park
I've been
there.
right every week so far, but
hey, man, in your eyes, man.
Right.
So good.
So let's get it started. So.
Okay, let's do it.
If you didn't see the game on Sunday with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And who were they playing? The Jets, right?
And at the Jets,
they were in New York.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown had what people would call an episode, whereas I guess he got into it with his coach. Apparently, they had some words on the sideline, and he then took off his equipment, took off his shirt, threw his shirt in the stands, threw his equipment on the bench, hyped the New York Jets fans up by, raising the roof, whatever he was doing, and then hopped his ass and then ran through the tunnel, slapping a couple hands, and he was out of there.
Yep, like it was the last game he was going to ever play.
Yeah, so
it probably was.
I guess we could kind of start at getting y'all take on this. There's been certain things that have come out now in regards to what that was about. When it first happened, we just thought, oh shit, AB forgot to take his medicine, or he doing the most again, right. CTE, all this stuff is kind of coming out about it. It was shocking because these are usually off the field antics he has. He's usually pretty thorough on the field. Right. So things come out where, Bruce Arians possibly has some fault in this situation as well. I'm gonna let y'all take it. I got my viewpoints and stances on this.
If you want last, you got an interesting take.
I got some things to say, just a thought process about it as you guys do. But how do you feel about this AB thing, man?
It's some guys, man. And especially with wide receivers in the NFL, right? They always say the wide receivers are the divas of the NFL, right? They always want the ball. They always open even when they're not. AB has proven to be one of the best receivers in football.
Hands down, without a doubt.
In my opinion,
I don't think anybody can argue that.
When his career is over.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can argue that.
So when you're one of the best to ever play the game, you want the ball a lot. And there's incentives in the contract. All of that is true in terms of targets. My thing is,
he was very close too.
He's very close, but
way.
last year it was the same situation because of his attitude. Every team has incentives in his contract. He's not going to just get a normal contract. He's going to always have incentives in the contract to performance. Last year he did also, and Tom Brady got him the catches and the numbers to get his bonus. So he maxed out his contract last year. Tom Brady is known in the league when you need a certain amount of yards or pass, he feeds you the ball to get your bonuses.
Good point.
So it wasn't that he didn't get his money. He was going to get his money. He already was targeted 5 times in the first half of the game, right? He caught 3 for 5 in the first half. So that was somebody that was targeted.
Okay.
I looked at Grunk's matchup in the game. I don't know what linebacker they put on Grunk, but he looked like a midget compared to Grunk. That was the mismatch. And that's how they came back in the game. Tom Brady kept feeding it to Grunk
vertically
because
challenged.
of the mismatch. And they got back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I take that as, and for what Bruce Arians said in response, when he said, you know, he had an issue with someone getting the ball more than him. I think that was Grunk. And I think he had an issue with not getting the ball, and he had a temper tantrum about it. I think the teammates tried to calm him down. And the coach, if you've ever seen an interview with Bruce Arians, you know he the old school coach that talked to you old school. He's not the coach that you put in front of a damn camera. He's the coach that say the things you don't want said in front of cameras. So I feel like the way that he talked to Antonio Brown in that moment, knowing that it was being petty, I think the man felt offended that another man talked to him that way. And I think he said, you know what, fuck
That
this.
other man being Antonio Brown.
The other man being the coach. I don't think Antonio Brown liked the way the coach talked to him.
Correct.
In that situation.
Yeah.
And hell, a lot of people in the NFL used to coaches talking the way they talk. You know
Does
what I'm
that make
saying?
it okay though?
It doesn't. It depends on the player, because there's certain players you can talk to like that,
Perfect,
and they be cool with it. And there's certain players they don't tolerate disrespect.
And to sum it up, just like that.
Antonio Brown is one of those guys you're not going to talk to like that. You're going to respect him as a man, and he's going to flip out.
Yeah,
He got offended, took his pass off, walked off the field. He could have did it a different way. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
If you're going to do it, because what he said, the coach was like, hey, if you're not going there, get the fuck out. So he could have just
and these are Bruce Arians' exact words in the interview.
You're not going there and get the fuck out. So
Vince,
he could have walked.
Well, go ahead.
But he didn't. He put on the show. In my opinion, he did too goddamn much.
And I will agree with you there, Skills. I agree with you. We we're gonna sit here and park for a minute. So this ain't the last thing you're gonna say about this. Go ahead, Vince.
Look, somebody, everybody heard the statement before. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Like, Antonio Brown has no, for me, I'd speak for myself. He gets no benefit of the doubt from me.
Okay.
Like, every place, every stop he's been at it's been a problem.
It's always drama, man.
Always a drama.
True.
Drama seems to follow him.
Off the field, too.
Right, off the field.
Let's not take away.
I would be the first person to say, the Hall of Fame or whatever you want to. It's not a popularity contest.
Yeah,
he is a first ballot Hall of Famer without question.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The work he's put in on the field. He gets my utmost respect for that. Okay, full
stop. It's not
stop.
a first round pick, by the way. Just FYI.
Full stop. He gets my
that's
respect.
crazy. Yeah.
Like, he bust his ass to be this good.
Right, full stop. He gets my respect for that. Mm-hmm. But also, the dude, if you needed any other example, the dude loves drama. He loves the attention. And now, if the argument or if the thing is that, Bruce Arians, he wanted me to play hurt or he this, that, and the other. My argument would be like, look, all coaches, from the best coach to the worst coach, from my perspective, they all full of shit. From the sense of like, they'll tell you, we care about you, we a family, I got your best interests. They'll sell you, on all of that stuff. When at the end of the day, your usefulness to them is predicated on your ability either to be available or your ability to produce week in and week out.
Period.
In the moment where you either can't produce or you say you can't produce, things get real shaky. So the story coming out that maybe Bruce Arians wasn't on the up and up.
Slave-like.
No, on the stories coming out that Bruce Arians wasn't on the up and up. I mean, I'm not surprised. He already contradicted himself with AB when he said initially, you know, AB basically is zero tolerance. The first time he makes a mistake, he's out of here. Depending on who you want to believe, he gave somebody a fake vaccination card.
Right.
Okay. Now, whether he did or he didn't,
he did that shit.
Right. It was a 3-game suspension that the NFL landed on.
Right.
Some would argue that's the strike, right?
Yeah.
And then when a couple weeks back when Fournette got hurt, Chris Godwin blew out his knee for the end of the season. Now all of a sudden,
yeah, we can forgive you now.
Hey, is faking a vaccination card really that bad? Like, is it really that bad? And at the end, and all of a sudden, Bruce Arians, he even said it. He was like, look, circumstances have changed. Circumstances, they asked him point blank, like, what are you gonna do about AB? He's like, the circumstances have changed.
He kept it a buck.
He kept, look, he's keeping it real. Like, he need the man.
Yeah.
He needed the man, and depending on what happened, he wasn't able to go, and all of a sudden, the shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
But that being so, no, it wouldn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me if a coach isn't on the up and up, because coaches aren't always on the up and up.
Yeah.
But also, it's like it's AB, and AB did AB shit. His response was something that you would expect AB to do. And so I'll finish it up by saying this: there are no innocent parties in this whole story.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
So I kind of take a somewhat of a different stance on this in regards to Antonio Brown. We all know what his past is.
Right.
We all know if he was a criminal, he'd be on his 3rd strike now, So we all know what Antonio Brown is. I just think we don't know much about what Bruce Arians is either. And I say that because just listening to everything that transpired before things even had a chance to settle in, this was all AB. This was all AB. We're not even considering the conversation between the coach and the player. We just see AB throwing which is retarded. You know what I mean? We just see him taking off his shoulder pads and his shirt and running off the field. Now, with that being said, everybody has their perspective and their viewpoint on AB's action. It just seems like the thing that I get, kind of upset about is it seems like we just throw mental health completely out the window. Right. When it comes to Antonio Brown. He know better, man. He a grown man. He looking for attention. I do believe that there's a certain type of stubbornness and attention seeking in regards to some of his behavioral patterns. Mm-hmm. But are we really just gonna throw mental health out the window with this man? I say that because the reaction to what I personally think Bruce Arians was the cornerstone of this issue. I think if he would have approached the issue differently, then there wouldn't have been, this wouldn't even blown up like that. But because he couldn't control himself either, it led to Antonio Brown doing what Antonio Brown does. If you could have said anything else besides get the fuck off the field, get the fuck to the lock, what do you think and Antonio Brown is going to do at that point? And then when I listened to Bruce Arians' take on the situation in his interview, he didn't even mention the fact, this is where I think he was full of shit, because he didn't even mention the fact that Antonio Brown said something about his ankle, which I totally believe he did, whether it was bullshit or not. I think it was, okay, coach, I'm not getting enough touches, blah, blah, blah. The coach ignored that shit.
Right.
So then Antonio Brown in his head is like, all right, then as soon as this nigga asks me to go in, I ain't going in.
Because I'm already playing injured, so if you're not going to feed me.
So coach, go in and go, hey, Brown, we need you in. Man, my ankle hurt and I can't go in. So when Bruce Arians addresses the people and you don't mention that, then that means you're literally painting a different picture to make Antonio Brown look worse than he already does. So, you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. I would say, I hear what you're saying, and I probably look at it from a slightly different lens. I would say where Bruce Arians, let's take the ankle story out of it just for about a minute.
Okay.
Right after the game, where Bruce Arians played himself, was you had no issue before last Sunday talking about Antonio Brown in a myriad of different situations, okay? Mm-hmm. No problem. And then the moment, and once again, regardless of what side you fall on the issue, but the moment his observed behavior, let me put it like that, the moment his observed behavior makes you eat your words, now all of a sudden, you got these curt statements where you're just saying, oh, he's no longer a part of the football team.
Right, and I don't want to hear shit else about it.
And I don't want to talk about it. And it's like, nah, bro, like, no. Like,
you knew this. If you didn't...
not even that you knew this, but you don't get to just be like, well, the situation has changed and Antonio's part of the team, and you got all the statements and all the words for Antonio before this, and then the moment your feet get held to the fire, now all of a sudden you just like, I don't want to talk about it.
Well, lawsuits changes people's approach to things, right? Now, typically, when there's a lot of players that this has happened to, and they typically just take it on the chin and just move on. They don't say anything about it. They don't disclose text messages between them and the coaches because they're not superstar players. They don't have the leverage to piss the NFL off, right?
Correct.
You're dealing with a guy who don't give a shit. So when you deal with somebody who don't give a shit, they're very dangerous because they will disclose the shit that you don't want people to see and conversations you don't want people to know about. He's that guy. He's always proven to be that guy. Like, he's the guy that's like, if you send it in a text message, he's going to disclose that shit. He's not going to be quiet and just play the victim and let the PR team do their job. He doesn't do that. You know what I'm saying? He's going to speak for himself. Like, he's that guy. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with a guy being that guy.
Yourself, right.
Being in control of your own narrative. Don't let these damn reporters spin a story that ain't true and fuck up your career. I'm okay with that, right?
Correct.
My problem is simply this. If you ever watched David Chappelle, it was a skit called When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong.
Yes.
I love that skit because that's what people do for real, bro. You be in a moment where you feel like you should make a scene. And when you do that, you fuck everything up. You got to decide in that moment to be professional and handle it a different way, because that's what they're going to do. So as soon as he came out and started showing the text messages and all that, what they do, the whole tone changed. For the coach, to the organization, they got their lawyers behind everything. Hey, we know how to play this game. You got to play it the way that they play it.
But that's what that was one of my points too, Ray. Like, how much of this is accredited to mental health,
right? And
how much of it is just like, because the feel to this situation is that I'm getting sick of motherfuckers talking about Antonio Brown got mental health issues. That shit doesn't go nowhere if it's not being addressed.
I think
so. Why would you
scary.
Continue to? So why would we continue
to just act like that's not a factor?
Yeah, and it just like there's.
I don't think they believe it.
There's a level exactly.
I don't think they believe
exactly.
it.
I don't know if I agree with that, but
no, I don't think I think it's. I'll say this because I can't speak for everybody.
It's either they don't believe it or they don't care.
I just think the world itself.
Who doesn't believe it?
I don't think the general public really believes that much in it. I think it's one of those things, man, because I'm learning. Like, we come from a different era where my grandmother just called shit crazy.
It's very trendy though now. Mental health is very trendy now, right? We learning more about it.
Exactly. As we grow up, we're learning, hey, we shouldn't just dismiss certain behavior because it might be something they can't personally control. And that's important. We need to understand that that's not as black and white as we grew up thinking it was. There's a lot of kids that didn't get the help they needed. We knew kids as kids who had problems and they got whoopings and got embarrassed and it didn't help their problem. So I don't want to go back to that day, right? But there is a thing called doing stupid shit, right?
Correct.
And we can't get caught up in mental illness being a contributor to everything people do.
Not
Sometimes
everything.
people do shit, they caught up in their emotion. It's just like, I'll give you an example. It's a lot of players on the field who right after the play is over, they get poked in the eye and a pile up, or they get an extra shove, or somebody push them down on the ground, just an extra little thing to stop them from getting up. If they react and swing on the guy, what happens to the player that they catch swinging?
That was catch the second
The person that retaliates always get the worst punishment, right? And the whole point of it is to get you to do that so you could be undisciplined so it can benefit the other team. It's all on purpose. Like, they didn't just do that because it was they did it so you would respond so that they can benefit from it. There's players who are just undisciplined with their emotions on the field. You know what I'm saying? Is he that guy? The track record shows.
Not really.
On the field?
On the field. No, I'm not saying on the field like not showing up. I'm saying
this is the reason why like this may be more of a mental health issue than we know.
But he did the same thing with Ben. Towards the end of his time in Pittsburgh,
but
he was mad at Ben.
It wasn't to this level, though. It was not to this level.
We come to find out that's not true what was said by the people behind the scenes. It was a lot of shit that was going bad in Pittsburgh.
Like taking your damn
Mike Tomlin didn't talk about
off and we seen that he didn't do any of this.
Right, no, not in the public eye.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But shit that he did behind the scenes was just as bad. Years in Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin didn't tell nobody his business. And players didn't tell that shit. But when he left, everybody told it. And was just this is the guy we've always known.
This is my point, though.
If you listen,
if he's able to, and I'll let you talk, but if he's able to, so when you deal with certain mental health issues, certain things that are therapeutic to you, releases that shit, right? So this is the reason why when he's practicing, when he's on the football field, none of that shit comes into play.
Unless he's not getting the ball. Then he's a nightmare for the quarterback and the team on the sideline.
I mean, okay, you could say that about T.O. You could say that about every wide receiver that felt that they were the hottest thing walking, that didn't get the ball, the quarterback and the coach would know about it. The only difference is with Antonio Brown is the shit that he's done away from football. Right, leads people to take a different stance with him when he has the exact same wide receiver prima donna issues as Jerry Rice did, T.O. did, Chad Johnson did. All these.
There's a difference with and the names you named. And there's
they tried to scrutinize it outside of Jerry Rice, obviously.
Because that's the difference.
T.O. they tried to scrutinize him.
But like you said, and I'm glad you said it that way.
And T.O. never did anything off the field.
Never. Chad either. Chad had one instance in his whole career and they act like he was always that kind of person. That's true. But the point you made, and I'm going to say something, get out your way.
No, you got it. The
point you made that I like what you just did there is you named some of the top receivers in the game.
For sure.
You said Jerry Rice, you said Randy Moss, you said T.O., right?
Yeah.
This is the difference. Jerry Rice was a goddamn nightmare on the sidelines too if he didn't get the ball.
Yes.
But you didn't see it. He remained a professional.
You didn't see it with him, with AB either until just now.
I seen it in Pittsburgh a few times when he cussed out Ben Roethlisberger. He came out in the public and talked bad about Ben Roethlisberger. Like, he has a track record turned into a different guy when he don't feel like he's being targeted. He'll shit on the whole team. I seen him do that with Pittsburgh, right? That's why they wanted to get his ass up out of there.
Yeah.
But Jerry Rice, he did all that shit too, but you never saw it. Yeah. It's a difference between being a professional and being a guy who don't care. Because Jerry Rice, don't get up out of Jerry Rice at that time. I guarantee you he on the sideline cussing somebody ass out for that. He on it.
No, for sure. And that's just that's the reason why I'm saying, like, is there something else going on there besides him just being undisciplined and not knowing how to muzzle his mouth long enough so he doesn't fuck his whole world up? Vince, go ahead, bro.
I was gonna say, especially when news of what happened on Sunday, it broke out. I saw, once again, just my perspective, I saw a lot of people, especially, it blew up on social media or whatever, but like a lot of people who were commenting on it. It seemed like I saw more people looking at it through the lens of like, this dude got some mental health issues.
I heard that a lot.
That are unaddressed or untreated, or however you want to categorize it.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like some people is getting their jokes off and being like, you need to, AB before the Vontez Burfict kid and the AB.
I heard that too.
Like it's.
I heard some of that too. I heard
so,
more of the I'm tired of AB, man. Fuck him.
Right. So it falls.
Let him. It is what
so
it is.
It fell into three categories. Mm-hmm. The people that were like wanting to get the jokes off and were just like tired of AB. The people who were like, he either bipolar, manic, whatever it is, like manic depressive, whatever you want to call it.
Maybe.
Right, like whatever. And then the people who were like, ain't nothing wrong with him. That's just the way. It basically falls
for sure.
But we've
into
seen
those
both,
three buckets.
Though. Personally, we've seen people who always get in their own goddamn way. It don't got nothing to do with mental illness. They just always got to do what they feel instead of what they should do. I know friends personally, every goddamn mistake they make in their life, when they come vent to me about it, I know that they're the reason for the mistakes in their life.
Now,
but
for sure.
they can't get out their own way because of pride and emotion, bro.
Now, I will say the thing to me that was kind of telling about this, and who knows how it's going to play out, but like I think we will all agree, Randy Moss, one of the greatest wide receivers of all time. Randy had his share of on-field issues and off-field issues.
Let's talk about the whole Raiders stint. He literally did not play for them motherfuckers.
He was straight.
You know what I'm saying?
He was straight.
T.O. had his own issues.
Just on the field. But see, these are guys, and it kind of goes back to like what we were talking about last week with like knowing how to respond and deal with the coaching, right? Because, and I'm first of all, I'm not using this to defend AB because AB has been out of line in so many areas in what he does. But like when you talk about when you talk about the Randy Mosses, when you talk about the T.O.s, when you talk about the Ocho Cincos, they literally tried to, in the midst of it, now it's all about high praises for these guys. Yeah. But in the midst of it, they were trying to like literally belittle these niggas.
Yeah.
Like what? Okay, these niggas can't be upset. He can't y'all took me over here. I don't want to play for these. Y'all knew I didn't want to play for them, but you traded me. It is what it is. But shit, I'm gonna use my gift against you niggas now.
And they're not the only ones to do that, but the black players are the ones that scrutinize.
And that's my biggest thing when it comes to not just vouching for Antonio Brown, because I think he do need help. I think, like you said, I think his pride and that foolish, prideful stint he takes on things gets in his own way. Yeah. Could it be mental health? Yes. It could be. Could a lot of it be prevented if he just thought before he acted? Yes. I don't want to take Bruce Arian out the equation either. Right? Because we're so used to, you just spoke on it earlier, we're so used to these white coaches talking to us any way they fucking want to, that you know how that go, man. He was just being a coach. That's because we accept that shit. And the only thing that I do feel that was a privilege as far as AB's behavior went was to not fucking accept how Bruce Arians responded to him, even if he did say, Coach, I ain't getting enough looks. I ain't getting enough this. I ain't getting enough that.
Right.
I ain't going in because I'm injured. Get the fuck off my field. Nigga, who is you talking to right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, in the midst of the game, and you say something like that to me, these coaches are like the old father figures, and so we get him passes a lot. But watch your mouth sometimes.
But the context with that too, well, that's first off, that's number one. Respect me as a man, fuck everything else. Number two, this is also a man who publicly in the beginning said he didn't want you there. When they asked Bruce Arians last year about it, he said, nope, he won't fit in with the guys in our locker room. We don't want him.
Yeah.
He made
Tom
it clear.
Brady was the one that wanted him there.
Tom Brady wanted him. Bruce Arians had to take him.
Tom looked hurt too. In that interview, Tom looked hurt.
No,
like,
he
To
was
your
hurt.
point, though,
He
but
was
to your
hurt.
point, Tom was probably the first person when they, excuse me, Skills, I mean,
Go ahead.
but Tom was probably the first person who they asked about it, who basically was like, whatever is going on with AB, like, we need to show him some compassion.
Yeah, for sure. It's Tom.
It sounds like
it's Tom. That's
whatever.
his mans,
I was
though.
gonna say that's whatever we see on the field.
And Tom could have
sound like
literally
he
took the
genuinely
stance,
liked
right?
that dude.
Tom
Yeah.
could have took the stance like I didn't put my neck out for
No,
this nigga twice.
but that's
in
not-
Foxborough
He sound like
and
he
here,
genuinely liked
but
that
he didn't
dude.
do that.
Right.
He's like literally like fuck.
Yeah.
Well,
Ain't
he
nothing I
did
can
some
do
shit.
now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Well, he did some stuff that other players has come out and said they would
He's
never.
still a Trump supporter
Right.
though. So
Yeah, right. Don't get it
get
twisted.
through that, Tom.
Right.
But he did some things that other players would not have done. Like when he not only went to bat for him the first year, but
Right.
he moved him in his house, man.
I
The man
know.
lived with Tom Brady the first year.
Bro.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
In New England.
now, it's not to say that he doesn't benefit from that kind of response. You know, obviously, this the guy that helped you win the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay your
Right.
first year.
Right.
It's not like you did that for a scrub that returned punts or some shit.
Yeah.
You did that for a guy you really needed, and
Right.
you butted him out and butt him up, made him feel included.
And then
So
you're like,
you know what it is.
he's one of the hottest wide receivers I know.
Yeah.
Oh, and on top of that, I like the fucking guy.
I like the guy. Let me get him where I need
Now,
to
if
get him.
you was a trash bag,
No, you wouldn't
I
get that
like the
treatment.
guy, but I can't mess
Yeah,
with
I'm
him.
not
on that level.
vouching
You know
for
what
him
I'm
moving
saying?
in my
Exactly.
goddamn house. So he did all of that. But I'm just looking at it in terms of when I know somebody don't want me there, right? That's number one. Number one, you can't talk to me any kind of way whether you do or don't. But if I know you don't personally like me and you got to be real careful how we communicate, because anything could go left if I know you don't care for me. He knew the coach didn't want him any goddamn way. He won the Super Bowl, then all of a sudden the coach changed his tone on him. But he know you don't want him there.
So
So
what
you
you-
walked up to him and say, get the fuck out. Now that don't mean throw your pads and do all that
For
shit.
sure.
It
Now,
mean
now,
walk
now,
to the
let me
goddamn
ask you a
locker
question.
room.
How do you feel about this podcast?
I love the podcast.
Oh, I was gonna tell you to get the fuck out of here.
But this is what I'm saying. If you say get the fuck out, right? Now this is two different things. And I'm glad you said that. That was cold. If you say get the fuck out, Skilly, and I say, oh yeah, and I flip these motherfucking tables over and throw the cameras,
Hey man,
that's
we
doing too much.
We had to. Me and Cal's had to lock
It's
these
ugly
doors.
after that. It's ugly after that. But this one I'm saying. If I say, oh yeah, all right, well fuck you then. And just
And
hit
just
my
walk
arm
out.
and leave.
Yeah.
I don't go to jail.
That's
I
the
don't get
response.
sued. I don't fuck up a long-time friendship.
That is true.
What is more important to you, dog?
Well, if you are mentally capable of,
Then you can't control it, right?
compartmentalizing
Right.
those things, then yes, you
Right.
will do that. If you're not mentally capable of compartmentalizing
Then that's not your
those things,
how
then
do we know this?
you may be the guy that, fuck this, and you know what I mean?
I just, you know, like I say, I'm having to learn. My kids are working on me, and I'm getting better. Because I truly come from an era where, nigga, if you're not diagnosed with being crazy, don't claim crazy.
But a lot of people, it's expensive to be diagnosed.
But
with
some
it.
people do
Boy,
bullshit.
you'll be diagnosed with
just
the littlest
because.
shit, and you'd have been owed the doctor like $5,000 and
But
shit.
I'm just like, it's some
most
people-
of those tests, insurance don't even fucking cover.
I look at some people, man, and I look at their behavior and how they interact, and they don't look like they mentally ill. They just
What
look
you
like they
expect, a
got
motherfucker to
foolish
walk
pride.
like a zombie in Thriller?
No, but like if you say
normal-looking
bipolar,
people,
and I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying I know
a bipolar
people,
person, you wouldn't just
I know
looking at them,
several.
you would not tell.
No,
that they bipolar.
Not looking
know
at them,
it.
but their
Yeah.
behavior you can tell. I know several people that have bipolar, and you can tell. It's an extreme. So when they're happy, it's an extreme happiness. When they're sad, it's an extreme sadness. When they're angry, it's always the extreme of emotion. That's how you can tell. You see a person in one phase, they hugging you, they love you, and then the next day they want to fight you, and it's just this extreme anger. That's a good sign that they have bipolar, right? It's certain signs you see with people, you know something don't connect right. What this dude did looked like a whole bunch of people I know, right, who got foolish fucking pride. They had a moment where they could have handled it professionally, and instead they showed their ass.
What about with the case with his baby mama?
Now the baby mama thing, now that was crazy, bro. I know. Now, how many conversations I've heard like guys, a person you know? I ain't gonna never say no names. I know men who I respect as men who were so angry with their baby mama they vented and said some shit they didn't mean. You understand? But they said it to me. They didn't say it to her, and they didn't say it to the public. But they said some shit to me that they felt that they knew they couldn't say to everybody. If you say the same shit you say to me to everybody, you already know how that's gonna go. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You're a grown up, you're a professional. You can't walk in your office and go to the supervisor you don't like and muff him in the face. You can't do that. You might want to do it.
I mean,
you know if you do that, your ass is fired.
You gotta be prepared for what's coming next after
you fired if you do that shit.
You got your own free will.
Right.
Now you went out like a G. Everybody in the office is like, man, you see how Ray muffed that nigga? Yeah, Maria's unemployed now. It doesn't help me to have a scene.
Hey, man.
Ray's house is in foreclosure.
Mine is in foreclosure because I had a cool moment.
Hey, man.
That shit out of here, man.
Man, fuck the way Bruce Arians handled that whole situation.
That's gonna change though now because they did get lawyers involved. Let's not forget this small part of it. Lawyers are involved.
This needs to be addressed. The way a motherfucker talk.
So this ain't gonna be no.
The way a motherfucker talk needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed for sure.
Yeah, this ain't gonna just go away. They got lawyers.
So let's do hope like everybody say. Let's do hope that if he does need some help, let's hope he get the help
I hope
he deserves. Let's hope Green Bay beat the brakes off Tampa Bay if they do so happen to make it to the playoffs and they clash.
Dislike.
So is it so they were saying though, okay, so I know Green Bay has only 3 losses.
Yeah, they got the number one seed.
So period, right? So even if Green Bay loses and Tampa Bay wins, because they'll have the same record, but I'm thinking they won more divisional games.
I think the best Tampa might be able to do is get a number 2, but
it's only one bye. Only one team beat the bye, right? Yeah, so they said Green Bay got it. Solidifies.
Yeah, they got it. And I think they played Tampa this season.
Yeah.
So that'll be the tiebreaker right there. So no. Green Bay got it.
No, they didn't actually.
They didn't play Tampa this year?
We played them, but they didn't. But it wasn't like they played everybody in our division.
I thought they played the NFC. No, they didn't. They just did the game with us.
And they beat the brakes off us.
Yeah, they got that payback real good.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on from Antonio. I knew that was going to get spicy. Hey, first and foremost, what we drinking? This is some Suntory Whiskey Toki.
Konnichiwa.
This is some Konnichiwa, bitches. Some Japanese whiskey, man. It's 86 proof.
That ashikashi.
It's got a little kick to it, man.
Yeah.
It's got a little kick to it. Let's move on to, so once again, my kids are at home.
Here we go.
Thanks, man.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
So what's crazy is, right, my daughter goes to CPS schools. Mm-hmm. She goes to LaSalle too. My sons go to a charter school. They go to Bucktown.
So they're not impacted.
They just closed their school down today.
Damn.
Really?
To the 20th.
Okay.
To the 20th?
But yeah, bro. Yeah.
Okay.
But the minute they came home, they're remote right now. They online. Yeah. I keep getting these bullshit ass messages from CPS. Your child's school will not be open today.
Right.
If there won't even be remote learning, please, we sorry for the inconvenience. Stay tuned. We'll update you. Then the next message comes like, your child may be able to attend or go online if your principal calls and says they have enough. I'm like, man, that's some bullshit, man.
Enough information.
So not only are you closing the school down, you're not even allowing them to go on remote.
No.
So you're doing this because there's this tug of war between the union and Lori Lightfoot.
Yeah.
And now you make it seem as and I'm not, listen, bro, I understand when it comes to like work and you have to do things accordingly in order to benefit your work. It just is what it is. But stop throwing the kids in there like we really, because I don't see anybody really giving a fuck about the kids at this point because there's no recourse for the shorties. My daughter she's in 8th grade now. From 5th grade to 8th grade.
She had an issue every year.
She's probably missed. She's probably missed like 3 months of school. That's a lot. You know what I mean? That's like that. She like the Derrick Rose of CPS. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So
she's missed because you remember before the pandemic took place, they had that strike, and they was out of school for like damn near a month. So it's just like, God, these kids. My daughter don't even really know how to. None of her friends even know how to really write in cursive.
Yeah.
They don't even teach certain shit to them. But then on top of that, you just leave this huge gap of figure it out, guys, until we figure out this mess between this tug of war between us, the union, and the city, and we'll be back to teach you if it's beneficial for us.
It's sad, but just like when we talked about with the NFL and how coaches and how organizations work, it's the same thing with this. Like, they really don't give a shit. And that's the problem, right? And when you know the truth of what it is, but you got a whole bunch of people that perfected the art of making it sound like that's not what it is.
But
absolutely. You know what it is from the end result, right? The minute they say the mayor locked out the teachers from doing the Google Classroom. That's
a tantrum. She's throwing a tantrum now.
I'm throwing a tantrum.
Because they decided that it's too dangerous for all of us to be in school right now because everybody's this new variant of COVID.
Which
everybody's
everybody was
getting
catching.
sick,
Everybody was catching it.
So now, because they just decided we're shutting down the schools, the union, we're not coming in. You want to throw a tent? Well, we can't pay you because this was unexcused leave you guys did, so we can't pay y'all. And you know who's suffering more than anybody?
The kids.
The kids, bro.
The kids are suffering. The
shorties are.
Now, I want to be honest, because there's some teachers, and I've definitely met a nice amount of teachers in my lifetime who give a shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me to have a lot of respect for teachers even now,
for
right?
Sure.
I really respect that
I think
job.
I know where you're going, Skills. Go
but
ahead.
let me say this. Yeah. I have a problem when people who don't do the work have so many goddamn opinions on what to do in the situation, right? You got teachers who got to go to their union and say, hey, we don't feel safe. Quick disclaimer, the week of Christmas, me, my wife, and my teenage son had COVID, right? So from December 21st, that week, we missed Christmas this year because of this
Calico,
shit.
can you hand me a mask?
Yeah, it's too late. I done already hugged everybody. But for that week, we was all sick. And this is what I can tell you. When I had it, it felt like the flu. I was sick for 2 days. I was over it.
Yeah.
My wife, it felt like a whole different fucking thing. It attacked her lungs. She was sick for 5. My teenage son didn't miss a beat, didn't feel shit. My point is, these teachers have no idea how their body is going to respond to this virus.
For sure.
You've seen people on respirators, on machines. You've seen people who body still wasn't right months afterwards. They made a decision to say it's not safe. The numbers are growing. We're going to do remote learning, and we're going to protect ourselves and the children.
We're not even doing that, though.
You should do as a responsible adult. Let's create an environment that's safe for the children and the teachers. The mayor's mad because of money.
Yeah.
We're getting financing. They want asses in the seats in classrooms to get this money. Well, that needs to change because the world has changed. So typically, that was a reason for funding was if they're not in the schools, then we're not funding it. But with a pandemic, we need to change.
That should strictly be about IP addresses now.
So do that as a mayor,
you know
as a governor, push to change the narrative for that now because the pandemic has made the world different.
And I feel exactly what you were saying in regards to teachers fearing. They don't know what it's going to do
from COVID. It's teachers that have died from COVID.
But it's almost like for me as a parent, it's almost like the Antonio Brown effect, right? So even if this was a valid reason for Antonio Brown leaving the field, his past experiences and the shit he's done in the past, you'd be like, man, fuck that. Fuck.
So because of the strikes in the past,
yes, bro, I've dealt with it firsthand. I just feel like there's this swinging who got the bigger joint.
That's exactly what's happening.
I be feeling like that sometimes, man.
No, I think what you're feeling, and I've heard a lot of other people echo a similar sentiment, is a lot of people, and don't know if it's true, not true, whatever, but I think it's a lot of parents whose kids go to Chicago public schools, who they feel like, yeah, the how would I put it? The CTU is using, like they're using the kids, they're using this situation to like twist the knife on the mayor, right?
Right.
I'm not. Look, full disclosure. My kid. I'm not a parent in CPS. I don't have.
Me either.
Technically, I don't have a dog. I don't have a dog in the fight. But I know enough people who.
Here's how I would put it.
I know enough.
I got enough coworkers that kids. Their kids ain't in school.
Here's how I would put it. I know enough parents who, even with the first strike, even with the second strike, were like, "Nah, I'm pro-union. I'm pro-CTU. I'm with the teachers." With this latest, I won't call it a work stoppage, but this latest interruption in school, those same parents are like, "Yeah, no, I'm not with this." Like because of the way, because of the timing.
And then you're not even. So my thing is,
it's inconsistent.
And then the reason why I say this tug of war shit is like affecting my child because, like you said, if there's an issue about the safety, okay, send my child home and have her log on immediately.
Right.
But they're not even doing that now because from the way they handled it, and Lori Lightfoot didn't like the way they handled it, and then they always throw in the mix like, what's best for the kids? Y'all don't even give a fuck what's best for the kids, man.
They don't care. The minute that they were locked out of Google Classroom, that sent the biggest message to me. Because this is what I'm saying, and that again is how I feel about the AB situation. Like in that moment, as
that's
the mayor,
how powerful AB behavior.
I swear it is, because it's how
we can equate every situation we do and go back to AB.
People make bad decisions when they react out of emotion. The mayor acted out of emotion. The union, the teachers was on one
like
side.
She's like a baby AB, bro.
Ain't she? I mean, she did that, and she was like, "Okay, so y'all think y'all gonna gang up against what I said?"
A couple moves
I
where
show
she
you.
just on that.
I'm gonna lock y'all ass out, so you can't do remote learning.
I'll say this much, and
Who does that?
And I ain't gonna get into specifics, but my wife, she interacts with a lot of teachers in CPS, and she had to contact some teachers on Wednesday. And like this was early in the morning, she was sending out emails, and they were bouncing back because, to Skill's point, the CPS locked all the teachers out of all of their shit.
Who does some shit like that?
So
dog?
it's like it was a petty response.
I'm gonna make it impossible for you to teach these kids if you're not in classroom.
It was a petty response.
That's some petty emotional shit you shouldn't do as a mayor. So the kids do what? Because they sitting
at the crib, literally doing nothing. Now, again, I told you, my sons, their school has shut down. They go to a charter school. The minute they shut down, bro, they right online right now.
They still learning. They picking up.
And their school, like even when the pandemic first kicked off, they was on it immediately.
So you got to attention span.
But to you know, not play devil's advocate, but just to show, like, as far as like CPS, a charter school moved to the beat to their own drum in a sense. CPS may have a great idea here. It's got to get presented. It's got to get rolled out. Thousands of other schools got to adhere to it. Everybody got to be on the same. It's hard to get. We was in an 8-man group. in hip hop, we were in an 8-man group. It didn't work because the music wasn't hot. It didn't work because we had to get everybody on the same fucking page all the time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the 2-man group is, they gone. Because they could just go, because it's not that hard to get everybody on the same accord.
That many people,
and that's the problem with CPS. Like the clearance is just like crazy.
And that's
it
what
could be one principal could be like, no, I don't like this shit. And 99 other principals and the union, it's just too much. It's too much shit going on, man.
To the
like
meeting.
It's a messy situation, and at the end of the day, the people, the one group that's suffering are the kids.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's what it all boils down to.
Because the teachers, and that's what I'm saying, they're the only ones really suffering from that, right? Like, you can't not pay the teachers. They're unionized.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're not going to pay them for the pandemic.
Exactly.
They're getting paid. Lori Lightfoot, she's straight. She don't got no damn kids, no damn way.
She got a kid.
She got kids?
Yeah, my daughter went to summer camp with her daughter.
She got a little kid.
She's got to be in like 8th grade. 6th, 7th, or 8th grade.
Why did she go to
my daughter went right down the street to Echo Park with her in this past summer, the summer before last.
Her daughter goes to a Chicago public school.
I don't know if she go. I know she went to a Chicago Park District.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So so she does have a daughter. I just don't know.
I just know this way of handling it. It shows how petty you are. That's what I'm saying. In this role,
and her daughter. Now, would it be crazy, right?
It's an embarrassment.
Would it be crazy if her daughter did go to a private school?
That's what I'm thinking.
You know what I'm saying? That's like that's real. That's real shitty. If that's the case,
problem. So it's
you know what I mean. So
hey, y'all can argue all y'all want. Still provide education for the kids if they're at home, because kids' attention span is terrible, bro. Yeah. If they haven't been in class for 3 days and then you come back 3 days later and try to pick up where you need to
get
go
it together
and reintroduce it. You got to go back now.
Lori, CPS, Union, CTU. Man, get that shit together, man.
I feel that we're gonna
these
see
kids.
the end of a lot of public schools.
It's a bigger fucking issue than your prideful ways. These kids gotta get on point, man. You taking them out of the mix like they're so far behind when it comes to the rest of the fucking country with this shit.
And they can't control it.
Come on, man.
Kids can do to control that. They just have to roll with it.
CPS, get it together, man. Moving on, fellas. Let's talk about DeMar. Wait, before we talk about DeMar DeRozan and the amazing shit he's doing right now, how did y'all feel about Kyrie retiring? Did he didn't miss a fucking beat, did he? What he had, 22?
Yeah.
22?
Yeah.
Didn't feel anything about it.
Didn't really make a difference, did it?
Because, and the thing is,
you ain't fucking with Kyrie.
No. Out of his next 6 games, he only gonna play. He only gonna play 2 of them.
True.
So
I got a question.
I'll be interested to see how this rolls. Come playoff time.
Answer this for me, and then we'll touch on DeMar. If you know what Chicago is now, like you can't go nowhere without a VAC card.
Yeah. I got it now. I got to keep. Can Kyrie play here? No,
I don't think he can.
He can't play here.
So we're like New York now, right?
We're like New York now.
You got to have it to go.
So he can't play here.
I don't think he can. Yeah.
So if they play us in the playoffs, he can't play no.
So
games.
is there any other states that have jumped on board like Chicago just did? So he basically can't go any. We were assuming he could play away games.
Can he play in LA?
Does LA have that standard?
Well, where did he just play? Indiana? Who did he just play?
Was that was
because I think that was Indiana, because they don't have that.
They're red.
They'll never have that either.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he plays in those markets, that's fine. But in terms of if it's Chicago, if it's New York,
Florida,
if it's Philly, no.
Florida, he could probably play it. Well, yeah.
Florida, he probably can. But that's not going to be the matchup for him in the East, right? If you're looking at the East matchup.
Exactly. Miami.
Well, Milwaukee, I don't think Milwaukee has it either. So if you play Milwaukee.
So they won't have. So when the Bulls and the Nets meet in the playoffs.
Yeah, no Kyrie for that series.
Kyrie will be done.
Yeah, no Kyrie for that series.
right? So that's the crazy thing about that situation.
And that's what
they did. They played the Pacers.
Yeah,
they beat them 129 to 121.
Yeah, you could do that. You could do that. Philly, no. Chicago, no. LA,
no. And Kyrie is. It's tough because, I mean, I get it how people feel about what's going on with this virus and how it's just attacking certain things. Mm-hmm. But it's almost like, to me, I feel like it's like capitalism going on. Like, if you don't have this card, nigga, you can't come sit down in no establishment. Which is like, bro, God damn.
This is crazy. Let me tell y'all this real quick.
I mean, do y'all feel a certain way about that, or is it I'm
starting to notice it in person. Me and my wife we went to my son's game on Tuesday.
And not to cut you off, but owners hate this shit.
No, I know they do.
Like restaurant owners, first of all, they're not even practicing this shit in the suburbs, though. By the way,
no,
it's a Chicago thing, bro.
No,
but what some do because it's technically a Cook County thing.
Yeah, it's Cook County. So then, yeah.
But like you can go like in the suburbs and trust me, they're not adhering to that shit.
Because we were looking for a place for my mother-in-law for her birthday. Orland Park is one place they don't require. We couldn't find any other place that did. But we stepped out. We went to my son's game on Tuesday, and then we went grab something to eat.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, it's a different thing now. Like, places that normally have a healthy amount of people in there, it's only like two fucking couples in there now, dog. Yeah. Like, and the people are frustrated. When we went in, the guy was like, black guy, because he got the sign up, and he done been cussed out so much that day that he like, bro, you know what I'm saying? It's not me. You know, it's my job. I got to do this. I say, bro, you're not going to get no problem from us. We showed our vaccination. We showed our ID with the vaccination card. We had a seat. But there's so many people, he said, that walked out of there that day. Because they just not going on that. They just don't feel they should have to do that.
Yeah.
So they're losing money. They're losing business. I had a guy that's still at the downtown office. There's still more restaurants downtown that's closing for good. They're losing a lot of money with this.
They are. So I talked to a couple of owners, and they're not happy with this shit.
They're losing a lot of money because people are just like, oh, okay, if I got to go through all that, then I just won't come.
Yeah. So, Kyrie, they're going to try to force the man to get on board and do that. And we touched on Kyrie
He's not gonna
weeks
get vaccinated.
ago. So it is what it is. Yeah. But it was just good. It was good to see him out there.
It was good to see him out there.
He looked good. They definitely need him because they fuck around and go up against the Bulls, and it's like it may be curtains for their ass. I don't know though, cause
thank God for the
you still got KD and James Harden, man. That's huge. Yeah. But good segue. With that being said, DeMar DeRozan. What Drake say at the ESPY Awards? DeMar, I say it, the less I like it. DeMar DeRozan is fucking on top of his game. Mm-hmm. So,
having a great season.
First question is, and this is loaded. So, the first question is he MVP worthy? The second question is this hands down his best year ever? So I'll let you guys answer this. So the first thing we take away from it, he's averaging right now just a smidgen under 27 points a game.
Yeah.
In 2017, when he was in Toronto, he averaged a little bit over 27 points a game.
Right.
But everything else is up. His assists, his rebounds. I think he averaged a little bit more steals that year. But one of the most important stats is that he's leading the league in fourth quarter points,
right?
Which is huge. That means
going crazy in the fourth.
That means like when it comes to that fourth, we're not losing.
No.
I've seen this year with the Bulls that I haven't seen in so long is, damn, they played like shit the whole game and they still figured out how to win the game.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that since Well, maybe you did see it during the D Rose era.
Yeah, a few times.
But
You saw it during the MJ. Well, you
see it. Well, yeah, that's what I'm. You already know. Like, you know, you seen it in the MJ era. It's nothing. But that's like 30 years ago, damn near. You know what I mean?
The teams do. They
figure it out.
Bullshit for
figure it out.
3 quarters, and then the 4th quarter.
Yeah, it's almost like they got a little swag about themselves.
They gelling their first year together.
Yeah.
And that's really difficult. Like LeBron, it always take him a minute. And LeBron's supposed to be the master of that kind of shit.
Why you got to bring LeBron?
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not shitting on LeBron. But when LeBron put a team together in the beginning, every time LeBron put a team together. Every time. When he did it with Cleveland the first time.
They went to the first.
I'm saying in the beginning of the season, it takes him and his teams a little bit time before they gel.
Before they win a championship.
And then the second half of the season, they gel and they play well. I'm saying in the beginning of every time, when he first got with Miami, that first part of that season, finals. I understand.
They did go on like a 9-game losing streak.
They gel in the beginning, they eventually gel. That's what they was waiting on this year with the Lakers, and it ain't happening. Okay, we normally goes a little slow, but eventually they gel and they produce. This is different because they gelled in the goddamn preseason when they was hooping in Chicago. They've been gelling.
It's very blasphemous for him to even bring up LeBron.
I'm not saying LeBron did something
King, I'm sorry, King.
I'm just saying, bro, you need to appreciate shit like this.
Yeah, for sure. They looking great.
These guys have never played with each other. They ain't like they got no relationship with each other, nothing like that. They all come together in the summer. They get together, they go out there, play the exhibition, like they gel early, and they playing well together.
Everybody, from the rookies to...
They look good.
AO is...
They got a lot of teams in the East.
That was a good pickup.
It's what you see when you have a head of basketball operations and a general manager that are on the same page and actually
are aggressively
are aggressive and actually know how to evaluate talent.
And it worked. Because the beginning of the season, I was watching, saying the inside NBAs and all of that, and it wasn't a lot of people that even talked about this trade.
Yeah, Chris Broussard
like
said, Chris Broussard was like the DeMar DeRozan signing was probably...
They said they gave him too much money.
Gave him too much money. It's one of the worst signings in the NBA.
And they were wrong.
Yeah.
They were dead wrong with the shit.
Yeah.
This is just a prime example as to why you get rid of Ryan Pace. Because
I thought you were doing part. He picked it up. I thought that's what you were doing, but he picked it up.
I see what you did. Yeah.
When you have organization when you have top heavies, GM, president, VP operations, when they are into changing the culture and will do whatever it takes to make that happen, they're so aggressive in making sure that the pieces to your case, it's easier in basketball than it is in football.
It is.
Because in football, if you don't have all 11 guys on the same side of the ball that's in tune,
or the injuries,
it's gonna fuck up.
Yeah.
Or the injuries. But with that being said, I feel like the minute they came in, they were aggressively trying to change the culture. Yeah. It's not like they were just drafting and went to the crib and say, all right, coach, figure it out.
Right.
They're an integral part of changing this basketball culture in Chicago, and this is why Ryan Pace needs to go. We'll pick that up later, though. I just want to throw that out there. It's cool. But yes, the Bulls are looking amazing. DeMar DeRozan is looking better than I've ever seen, and I know I wasn't like watching every Toronto and San Antonio game, he looks better than I've ever seen. Vince, go ahead.
It's interesting because you hear, with the 2 back-to-back game winners, right? Like that's been like we've all seen it. It's been everywhere, but you hear like more and more people coming at like Pop said something about hey, it's not surprising, like, DeMar's basketball acumen, the player he is, like, he's really an underappreciated player. Like, you've been seeing a lot of that. I think the one thing I'm slowly beginning to think is, I think what we're seeing is that, and it's not, by no means is it a disrespect to Zach. I think what we're seeing is like, okay, offensively, perhaps Zach is the more explosive, that player that does something where you're like, oh shit, like, god damn. But I think if it's a close game and it's I think DeMar is becoming that player who's going to take, like, if it's a last second shot that needs to be taken, DeMar is going to take it.
Well, he just broke NBA history.
And he just broke NBA history. But I think
never been done before what he did.
But I think also what you're seeing with what Zach has been doing is like Zach's been somewhat quietly putting together a season where it's like, yeah, Bulls going to have to cut that check. Like,
hey, so my thing is, and one of the reasons you just brought up a great point, and one of the reasons why I think DeMar is doing what he's doing, for me personally, and this is no disrespect to DeMar, I think he's just a legitimate Robin. I think he's a two guy. Yeah. I don't think he's a number. I don't think you build a team around DeMar DeRozan.
And who's your Batman?
Batman is all day Zach LaVine. Okay. Because now you're gonna see what I mean by that is, just for example, I don't know if you seen the Orlando game, I think it was. Just some of the things Zach LaVine does, and he's way more efficient this year, but he also does shit that you're like, nigga, I couldn't do that shit if I tried.
Way more athletic.
So, but it's just like he did like a side step back three, shot it, that shit hit nothing but the bottom of the court. I think like when we caught DeMar with Cal Lowry, when we called him over in San Antonio, where he had Aldridge. Who else was over there? Was Rudy over there when he was over there? But my point is, there was not like a legitimate number one guy. So and even with Cal Lowry is not a number one guy. No. I think that's where Toronto always kind of fell short, was because those two guys was like trying to play, and you see what happened.
Right.
Those guys were like kind of playing off of each other, and it just never worked out. Also they went up against LeBron and too. So, but now I feel like, so your number two guy, if he's a legit number two guy, sometimes he's gonna look like a number one guy, and that's what you want. Mm-hmm. But I just think the pressure is not on DeMar right now, because you not only have a number one guy, you may have a 1A and 1B and 1C in Zach and Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan. Mm-hmm. There's so much high-powered offense over there where Zach could go off and give you 30, Vucevic could go off and give you 30. Yeah. Now DeMar is showing his ass because he know at any given moment, if I'm not having that success-filled situation, I got my superstar that's going just run off and go crazy. DeMar's been having this crazy stretch, but I still think Zach is that dog that will just propel them into what I'm excited to see. And I'm doing the Charles Barkley thing. I keep switching shit up. I can't even finish my statements because I'm so excited, right? But what I am excited to see is what DeMar DeRozan does in the playoffs. Because sometimes that's the knock that certain people had on him. Like he's great in the regular season, but let's see what he
show his value.
But I will say this:
I totally agree with you there.
Then I think that's what his game is going to change.
But to your initial question, at this point, is he an MVP candidate?
I think he is. I think
how could he not be?
I don't know who's the top scorer, but you're 27 points.
I think he's third. Okay. Is he third or fourth
right now?
Okay, third, yeah. And then Zach is right up under that.
Okay,
you know what I mean? So
on the number one team in
right
the
now,
East.
he should be considered for that.
He's leading the league in fourth quarter points.
And if that carries out,
that's huge.
The Bulls are the number one team in the East, that, come playoff time,
They're gonna be interesting to
that's
see.
gonna get you some MVP.
It's gonna be really interesting to see. It's a few moves they still talking about making. They're trying to get a few big men just to come off the bench.
Hey, they just released DeMarcus.
Yeah.
Should we grab Cousins? And Boogie wasn't doing bad over there, bro. He was having some good games in Milwaukee, but they just said they're trying to clear up some cap.
I think Milwaukee.
They always clearing cap with Boogie.
Salute to Milwaukee.
Boogie had that AB.
How many times they get rid of
Boogie got
Boogie
that AB in him a little bit.
That's what I'm saying.
Salute to Milwaukee.
Once again, we able to go back to AB on a whole different topic.
Salute to Milwaukee.
Let's see how many times we can equate the current topic to AB.
No, salute to Milwaukee. They won the chip last year, but like that, and I know they said they're gonna waive Boogie to have some cap flexibility.
Yeah.
But like, I look at Milwaukee and I'm like, I get it, y'all the champions, but y'all ain't.
It's not convincing, right? Like it's not like
to be making them type of moves.
like it almost feels like, all right, nigga, y'all got lucky last year, but I don't know if y'all gonna pull this shit this year.
Yeah,
they don't feel like it.
And they shouldn't. They absolutely shouldn't feel like it's luck.
They came in, they played well. They feel like we can win with who we have,
right.
And until you beat them, there's no reason for them not to feel that way.
They not better than the Bulls.
They feel like they are. I'm sure they.
They not better than the Nets.
I'm sure they feel like they better than them. They beat them.
So after that, I can't go no further.
You know what I mean? It's just like, well, they better than Miami. So it's just like, what do you do?
I tell you, if Miami come back, if they get healthy at the right time,
that's always the Miami talk. If they just get healthy,
that's the team that's scared.
Miami always the ones that ain't healthy when it matters.
I just feel like Miami doesn't have that. I think they struggle with that too, because as good as Jimmy Butler can be,
how good can he be?
Jimmy's good, but like
I love Jimmy.
Like in the finals,
can Jimmy be a 37?
2019 NBA Finals.
He was going head to head with Bron.
Going head to head with Bron.
Going head to head with him.
Going head to head with Bron. But what Bron was doing for 8 finals in a row, Jimmy was doing a couple games in a row, and Jimmy was gassed.
Yeah,
like Jimmy was like.
And I think Jimmy is very good. Jimmy is like in that same class as DeMar DeRozan to me. I really feel like he's a number 2 guy that can pose as a number 1 guy if he needs to.
Jimmy's a number 2 guy who. Let me not say that. Jimmy's a great basketball player.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Jimmy, like in the Minnesota thing, and a lot of Jimmy thinks he's that dude, but when it's time to really be that dude, I don't think Jimmy is that dude.
So when have we ever seen him?
Yeah.
He's taking on that role.
And Derrick Rose was gone, and D Wade was here, and I remember that year because that's when we had what's his name from Boston, the old veteran from Boston,
Rajon
Rondo. And I remember looking at that season.
That was a good fucking season,
but
too.
But then the playoffs started.
If Rondo doesn't get hurt,
that's a different series.
You know what I'm saying?
Up 2-0 when he was playing. But I remember seeing them play. It seemed like they started to gel towards the end of it,
man.
So
I like how you're talking, man. Put some of this in you.
I like where they started going with it. But they started going there because it wasn't just on Jimmy to do it. Mm-hmm. When Miami was in the finals, I think they really expected a lot of Jimmy to do it all. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like
Jimmy to do it all. And
that's not
outside of that one.
But he say he's that guy. But when you put him in that position, he don't show up in that.
Yeah, Jimmy is. Guys, you know what I'm gonna do in the next couple of weeks. We need bartenders. We should not be fucking pouring our own drinks up here, man. No, I ain't saying we bigger than life. I'm just saying we could use some bartenders, man. We are focused. We're focused on bringing these points and driving them through to the audience, man. We don't need to be pouring our own drinks.
I'm sure they will pour them a lot differently.
So the next 606 whatever podcast, we will have a bartender.
Yes, sir.
All right, so moving back on to Jimmy. Jimmy is not the number 1 guy, but I think he fell into that facade because he's a raunchy ass, you know what I'm saying? Talk shit, you know what I'm saying? he don't like and he don't give a fuck about what you like and don't like. He gonna tell you and he's gonna outwork you and all that stuff. But yes, he is. He's a very good two. Like DeMar DeRozan. And by the way, DeMar DeRozan is leading the league in All-Star votes, leading the East for guards in All-Star. He had like 1 million. I think the closest one is like 800. I think James Harden is right behind him at like 800 something thousand votes.
Because it ain't off the season.
You know it's off the name.
That's off the name.
Because the fans vote for that. So shout out to let's raise our little. These are like dentist spit cups. Let's raise our dentist spit cups to DeMar DeRozan. All right. Moving on. Now, skills.
Here we go.
Wait, before this is not what you think it is. Okay. It's something different, but you engulfed in this too.
Okay.
I'm gonna pose this question to y'all.
Go for it.
Okay.
I want y'all to let me know because I've been hearing shits. You know, I got my. By the way, babe, before we go any further, Strange Fruit Premium Cannabis.
Come on with it.
Are you stressed out? Do you have anxiety?
Always.
Are you depressed at times?
Sometimes.
Right. Depends on me.
Well, Strange Fruit Premium Cannabis has the answer. We have flower, a certified flower, plenty of different strains for you. There's indica strains, there's sativa strains, there's hybrid strains with a little bit of both in it. Mm-hmm. There's edibles. We have candies. We're going to break the candies out. My man Chaz in the building. Hey, Chaz. Do you see my book bag anywhere, man? We about to edible it out, man. Can you grab my book bag and come say what's up to the people too, man?
Would you by any chance have some of that Frosted Flakes OG?
I do have Frosted Flakes on me right now. Let me finish the commercial first. Yes, it's green. It's a green book bag. It's not in there. Maybe I did leave it in the car, fellas. I'm sorry. Let me finish the commercial first. We also have oils, olive oil, coconut oil, butter, infused.
Used the butter last night.
Whatever you need. Did you? You like that?
Cooked with it, man.
For sure. For sure. So whatever your needs are, please just you can either go to strangefruit.com. You can go to my IG page, which is at Big Male Music. You can, if you have my horn, you could hit me up. I'll put you on my menu list, and we'll get it right to your doorstep. We do deliver Strange Fruit Premium Cannabis. Okay, the question I wanted to ask, fellas, is hip hop a young man's game?
I love that you asked this question.
Is hip hop a young man's game?
Let's be honest. Now, let's be honest real quick, because I used to get there and then I stopped and get them and did the family shit and just left music alone.
Okay.
But this is the understanding I've always had about music.
Mm-hmm.
You are only as old as your ability to process new information.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that about everything in life, right? If you can compete, if you can produce the quality of music that demographic want to listen to, you can be involved in the game. But everybody at an age limit don't do the same kind of music, right?
Correct.
So we have people, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I know people always give you the excuses when they tell you, you know, when an artist's been in the game for 10, 15 years and they're in their 40s now, and they say, well, you can't compare him because he's already been in it. No, every year you got to prove yourself in this game.
Correct.
Right? So I do give them credit for that. And when you see artists in their
who is them? The young guys or the older guys?
No, I'm saying the older guys.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like when you look at a Kanye, when you look at a Rick Ross, people always say, but they've been in the game for years. But every year you have to prove yourself to a new audience, right? If you're not making music that they like, it doesn't fucking matter about the history. They'll cut you off. Like, you're just the guy that they used to like. You're not the guy we like now.
Good point.
So they're able to constantly produce music that got crowds way younger than them, and they're creating new fans. Kanye has a new generation of fans now, right? When he first came out, he had that group, and over the years, he has several new generations of fans. Rick Ross is still creating new generations of fans. You got artists who can still produce music that still appeals to that demographic and that age group. And if you can, go get the bag. And I don't mean you can't get it because your age. Now, this
right,
is what
because I think
say.
Ricky came in.
Ricky came in old then. He was in his 30s when he came in.
Go ahead. Though,
but I'll say this, and this is why I say the honest part. If that's not who you are anymore, they'll know the difference, right? People know when it's not real. And that's what I'm saying. Even if you're a cornball, and to my standards, there's a lot of things going on in the game right now that we always thought was corny shit, the snitching and all of that that's glorified now. It would have never existed in my era, but that's neither here nor there, right? But if that's not your kind of music, I'll use an example. Fonte from Little Brother. For those who know who Fonte is.
A lot of people
I'm a
don't know
huge
who he is.
fan of Fonte, right? He's one of my favorite rappers.
He crazy with it too, bro.
Yeah.
Him and Bro from Some Village.
Go
ahead,
the music
Go
that
ahead.
he does adult hip hop music. Mm-hmm. He doesn't do any trap music. He don't do no 808 drum beats. He doesn't even try to do that kind of music.
Right.
He does his kind of music. Mm-hmm. And it appeals to the audience that loves his kind of music. And that man is in his 40s, heavy. You understand what I'm telling you? And it ain't stopping. And he ain't going nowhere no time soon. That's okay. When I seen Black Thought on Hot 97 doing the freestyle 2 years ago, and he killed that shit, had one of the best freestyles ever. Black Thought is about to be 50 years old, ladies and gentlemen.
But you do know, here's the thing about Black Thought too. Black Thought is really freestyling.
No, he wasn't.
No,
not on Hot 97.
He can,
but he really when they he really freestyles. I remember
Jimmy Fallon put him on the spot all the time.
Yeah. I remember like he used to say him and his cousin back in Philly. It used to be like an exercise for them to just like go back and forth like for hours.
That's what we used to do. I used to do that with a friend of mine. That's how I learned how to freestyle to that level. We would do that shit. They would just throw out topics and see if you could stay on beat with it.
Yeah,
the whole cipher.
We'd have had some decent.
Just to have some fun and to keep the.
We'd have had a lot of fun, man.
So that's something that you got to be talented to be able to do. But these are guys who's at this age who still produce good music. There's a lot of good music from artists that are over 30, okay? There's a lot of good music.
The album Prosper coming soon, bro.
There's a lot of good music out here, right? My whole thing is, if you can't do the music, just be who you are. I guess let me just keep it short and make it longer than it need to be. Be who you are. Don't be that guy if you're not that guy. Be who you are if you're doing music. There's a lane for everybody. Griselda, all of them niggas is in their 40s.
Yes.
There's a lane for artists to do music, no matter what your age is.
Stay in your lane.
Just stay in your lane musically.
It's when you try to, I think, escape your lane because you're envious of another lane.
Yeah.
Nigga, stay in your lane. Trust me, it's
and when
gonna
you
work.
were young, you was a guy popping.
Stay in your lane, because these
but
young
your ass
niggas
in the streets now. So
and they'll look at your lane. If you stay in your lane faithfully and heavy, they'll look at your lane like, damn, man, maybe I could learn something from his lane. Vince, is hip hop a young man's game?
I'm not gonna say it's a young man's game. Here's how I put it. I keep it simple. Like, the album I've been listening to on repeat for the last week or so, I've been listening to Nas's new album,
Magic.
And Nas just turned 48.
Yep.
About to be 50.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I've been listening to that shit like every day. Religiously. So, is it a young man's game? Who knows? I can't really answer that question. What I would say is, I feel like from my perspective, you got the young dudes, you got the dudes that's closer to our collective ages. And I feel like, from my perspective, to Skill's point, like the people who are past 35, past 40, whatever, however you want to categorize, old in this rap game. Like, I feel like, whether it's Jay, Nas, whomever, like, more times than not, I listen to their shit and I might not love everything, but I still find something that I like. You know what I mean? So,
And they selling records, so it ain't just us listening.
So the only time I feel like it's a young man's game is when it comes to endurance, right? So I could recall in the early 2000s, like early, I've been at this for quite some time, you know that, right? I could recall when I could pump out 18, 19 songs in a week and a half.
Easy.
And be ready to record them shits, put it in the, you dig? Now, because I think life
fam,
forces you to kind of try to kind of maneuver around that shit a little bit, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that you have to lose who the fuck you are as an artist. Like, I feel like none of these guys can fuck with what I do.
Right.
When I do what I do, right? But it just takes that level of focus. So when I think of young man's game, I don't think like the content of music. I'm thinking like, is your level of focus there like it was 15 years ago when you first started this?
When you had
and the young man is super thirsty. He's super thirsty because shit, nigga, I've been rapping for 6 months now. I'm on it. You know what I mean?
Getting into
nigga, I wrote my first rap in 6th grade.
Right.
You feel me?
Right.
So it's nothing for me to lay something, but again, where's the passion, the motivation? That's where the older man has to continuously find that shit. Got to go down that rabbit hole to continuously find it. And I personally have it. You know this. We didn't talk like I'm not lackluster when it comes to the shit, but at the same time,
that's a good example.
It just has to be something that you're mentally keyed in on. And that's the reason why I think you would call it a young man's game, because as you get older, there's more things weighing in on you mentally.
Let me ask this question, and y'all are more into it than I am. Is it a young man's game from a business standpoint? And let me put it this way.
Would you be trying to get a deal?
Okay.
No. Like, not even so much a deal, but it seems like a lot of, and granted they're younger rappers, but a lot of the younger cats, it seems like a lot of those guys, like they either, they got their money by, putting out mixtapes, or they went, on that whole, SoundCloud route or what have you. And so I guess what I'm trying to ask is, are
the social media grind?
Maybe the social media grind, or this grind of where like I'm not gonna tie myself to a label. I'm gonna make my product and put it kind of more of a direct,
makes it better,
to customer route, and just be like, okay, I ain't necessarily.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the independent situation.
Like I ain't gotta sign with this.
So this era is great. Like the youngins now, like they have. I give them mad kudos for that. They've used this social media platform to kind of, and let's just put it out there, I think like Soulja Boy was literally
he was the first,
the springboard to that shit.
They don't need labels no more.
And people are like literally, you give people platforms just like what we doing right now. You know what I mean? Like 15, 20 years ago, we didn't have a platform to put our own podcast on.
You had to go
like even else. Back in the day, you needed like licensing to be a radio personality. Now you can just do that shit, and I think that is what and it's a lot of the youngins taking advantage of that shit, wholeheartedly, and that's the great thing. But it just, technology also keeps everybody relevant if you want to dive into it.
But that goes back to what I said, right? Because if you're somebody who's a veteran artist and you're still trying to get your music out, if you don't know how to maneuver social media to pump your shit, you out the game. Yeah. But if you know how to use it, how to manipulate it, just like the younger artists, you're still relevant. You still got an audience. You just got to know how to use the system created to get your music out there. So if you know how to utilize that, it doesn't matter. There's an audience for everybody.
I'll tell you a funny story, right? So I call myself like literally putting my shit out there. Because the first thing I was like is, you know what, my social media presence ain't where it need to be.
Okay.
So I call myself creating me a little social media campaign, posting everywhere.
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere I could. So I do like 3 posts a day, you know what I'm saying? One, my niece, you know what I'm saying, she on the song with me too. So my niece she reposted, she shared a picture of me doing a vending event with Strange Fruit Premium Cannabis again. So she posted a picture of me with like the whole table with the product, and and she posted that picture at like 3 p.m., something like that.
Okay.
At about 4:30, one of my guys was like, yeah, I see you doing it. I'm like, yeah, my niece just posted it. Check out, we're gonna go on her page and look at it. Nigga couldn't find it. So I'm like, well, did she take it down? I keep scrolling. About 40 posts later, I see the shit she posted an hour and a half ago. She done posted like 30 more posts
Since that.
since an hour and a half ago. Now here I am excited about, I done got my 3 posts out the way for the day, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This motherfucker done posted like 30 posts.
Yeah.
And that is where the game lies, right? You just gotta be relentless with this shit. I do feel like there's a level of mystique that you need to have. Giving people all access to you will you'll lose them a little bit, but at the same time, this is a content-driven sport right now.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the content to drive through people's living room, hour on the hour, you're gonna lose people, man.
Easy.
So
Easy.
So that's where I'm at with it. I do feel like it can be. I know why it's labeled as a young man's sport, because it takes the certain drive and endurance that an older guy with a whole family and just has been doing this shit for like 20 plus years don't have.
Like, what?
I promise you, when I looked at her page, I'm like, well, damn, she took it. She could have told me she was gonna take it down.
Man, these kids be
she didn't take it down, bro. It was. I had to scroll.
Yeah.
If I would have scrolled as much as I scrolled in an hour and a half for her on my page, I'd have been back 2 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
That's
it's just like, nigga, either step your game up or step aside.
I feel like
that's basically what it is.
And I feel like at this point, as artists, right? If you're doing music, you love to do the music that you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? You want to put it out. It's important to you to send that out for it's way bigger than that. When we're kids and we rapping, we doing the shit because we enjoy the culture. We know that we got a little talent, and then we start burning a couple niggas. We get a little cocky. We want to see how good we are. Like, it's a lot of things that come with being a young artist versus a mature artist. But as a person who's a mature artist, now that you have so many other important shit to do, you're not going in the studio bullshitting. You're prepared when you're in the studio. But you're not booking the session and don't know if you're going to be ready. You know goddamn well you're ready when you book that session. Yep. You're more professional because you're taking time away from the people you love, and you want to go in there and make it worth it.
And you gotta have that unit that creates that culture for you too. You gotta have that unit, somebody that's going to like take your career as serious as you are, because you do need help and assistance. Yeah. So that's the reason why, like, sometimes you will look at a Ryan Pace and say, "Nigga, you need to go because you're not taking the culture of the Chicago Bears seriously." And now let's segue into the Chicago Bears. First of all, let me
you
show y'all something.
Before we do this?
You see this? This is a Justin Fields jersey.
That's exactly what time it is.
I'm not playing about me still being. Oh yeah, shout out to hip hop, by the way. I ain't mean to just run away and leave y'all. I'm not playing about Justin Fields and how excited I still am about the young boy.
Exactly.
I'm not playing about that whatsoever. It was a situation where we just kind of lost all our like. A lot of people was like, "Hey man, what the?" I thought he was gone. He makes a lot of mistakes. He's a rookie, guys. What do you expect?
He's a rookie, but he's also a rookie who's playing with the coach who.
And a GM.
Right, but all right, because skills on the other end, we won't include the GM.
I don't know why y'all make it seem like this.
I didn't say.
Working with a coach.
I didn't say.
I am not his PR people.
Working
I
with
just
coach
say
was more in love with his scheme than he was with crafting the offense around what the quarterback does best.
I think he's wrong for that, and obviously he's wrong for that. But I think there's a lot of coaches that are the same way. Bill Belichick is the same way. If you go to New England, you're not gonna get no different shit. You're gonna get that's Bill Belichick way of playing. You're gonna adapt to his way of playing, or you're gonna leave. But Bill Belichick is never gonna say, "Oh, I see his talent, so we altered our scheme to his talent." They have a scheme that you're going to have to learn. We've seen some of the best players. When Chad went over there, Chad Ochocinco went to New England, I remember being excited because I'm like, Joe, they finally got a burner over there. Chad couldn't pick up the offense. It was like he wasn't even as great as he was. They didn't change their offense for Chad. They didn't change their offense for Randy Moss. If you don't pick up our offense and our way of playing, your ass is out. But because he wins, everybody's okay with that.
6 Super Bowls.
And that's why it makes a difference. But if you lose 6 Super Bowls and he still talk that shit, you got a fan base that's just popping their lips like, come on, bro, your shit don't work. It's over. Like, why you so cocky about it? But if you win, you're a genius. And that's the NFL. And that's all I said about being rushed to blame people. Because when you're losing, everybody's doing a bad job, right? You point to everybody at fault when you're losing. When you're winning,
but that goes without saying.
You give credit to people. All I'm saying is just look at the context of things when you make a decision. And that's to be the best decision you make. It's not no fucking GM waiting in the clouds for the Bears to hire that's going to change their life, right?
Well, we don't know that.
We don't know that. We don't know that. But we know they hired a GM who created a Super Bowl team.
And I hate to keep bringing the Bulls up, but Jerry Reinsdorf found Jerry Krause from the Sox.
Yeah.
So you don't know who is in the.
You don't know.
You know, they could fuck around and hire me.
But after 2018 season, when Matt Nagy won the Coach of the Year, and we all saw that playoff game, we felt like the future was bright for the Bears.
So 2 years he's taken us to the playoffs, and 2 years we haven't won. So he's been here 4 years. It is.
He's done more in 4 years than any other coach has for the Bears franchise since Mike Ditka. Now, it doesn't make him a better coach.
What about
but I'm just saying,
Lovie Smith?
Lovie Smith did take us to the playoffs 2 years in a row in 4 years.
Nah, Lovie Smith is
2 years and 4 years. He didn't do that.
Lovie Smith is, I think what did he get us to, 3 years?
No, Lovie Smith, man, only had 3 winning seasons his entire time with the Bears. But we went to a Super Bowl, so we say, fuck that. We went to the ultimate game with him. But we only had 3 winning seasons with him.
Yeah, I think he's been to the playoffs 3 years out of how long was he here?
He's with us for a while.
Like 7 years?
Yeah, about 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
So this man did it in 4. So when you look at a resume, if you don't watch the games and you say, well, this coach was there for 4 years.
But that's because Ryan Pace put the pieces in front of. Get out of here, man.
Hey,
fuck out of here.
Look,
you thought I was on that, didn't you?
All I'm saying is, I'm telling you now, I done told y'all last for 3 episodes.
Don't have me Bruce Arians your ass.
Finna go.
The fuck out of here.
Ryan Pace will be there for another season.
He will. I agree with you. I think he will. I don't think they're gonna get rid of Ryan Pace.
They're not gonna fire Ryan Pace.
I think they will.
Okay. Hey,
not gonna fire
let's
him.
put it in the edit, man. I'm with you. I think he needs to go.
Not gonna fire him because they know.
Here's my thing, Ray. Why you always try to act like you don't want him to stay and you just act like they're not gonna fire him.
No,
just say it. They shouldn't fire him.
I don't personally feel like he should be fired, right?
Okay,
I don't personally feel that way.
Put that energy out there. Don't try to act like they're not gonna do it.
No, because it's not about how you feel, right? It's about overall production. It's
definitely about how you feel because you are a naive Bears fan.
No,
man.
I'm not. I just look at what he did. When we say go find a GM, they found a GM who put together a championship team with the New Orleans Saints, and they hired him. Right?
Mickey Loomis was a GM. Mickey Loomis was the GM of the New Orleans Saints when they won the Super Bowl.
He was the GM of the championship New Orleans Saints team.
I'll ask you to Google that and let me know what your answer.
Ryan Pace. That's where he came from. New Orleans Saints.
No, Mickey Loomis was the GM of the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, do you want me to Google it?
Hey, you can.
Because y'all can keep talking and I'll Google it.
Mark say it. I'll take his word for it.
You sure?
Right? I'm saying that's the reason why the Bears hired.
It's funny if somebody
I'm
agreeing with each other so much.
If that's what we're hanging our hat on, Ryan.
They hired him because of his tenure with the New Orleans Saints. That's why they hired. That's the only reason they knew who he was.
You heard him?
Okay.
What you think that is?
Okay.
But he didn't win anything with the Saints, right?
He wasn't a GM.
He put together a good team with the Saints. That's what they looked at.
He was not the GM.
No, he was the GM of the Saints. He wasn't the GM of the Saints when they won the championship.
He said he wasn't the GM.
Of the championship year, he wasn't the GM. But he was the GM of the Saints. He's the guy responsible for bringing Sean Payton over there. That's what he hangs his hat on.
So you
he was over there a minute ago then.
On playing for Andy Reid. It don't mean it's going to work.
He did hire Sean Payton.
That's why they hired him, Parks. That was his history.
He said he didn't hire Sean.
Now, I stand on that part. I don't know if he was there for the championship team, but I know that was what persuaded them to give him a chance. He put together a good team. That's what you got to come with a resume. When you go to a job interview, you come with a resume.
Okay,
you come with a resume. You show the people that you work with. You show the organizations you work with. If they did well while you were there, that gives you a better opportunity to get the goddamn job. It's no different than anybody else interview. All I'm saying is this. If they replace him with anybody else, that's up to them if they do it. I'm just saying, right now, from what I'm looking at, I don't think that they see enough to say that we don't want him back. I think he's going to be there another season. Matt Nagy ass is going to be gone. And now picture this. Whoever he hires, right? Because they're not going to get no big hire. There ain't going to be no big name, so might as well forget that shit. If they win, nobody's going to give a shit. Nobody's going to give a shit. That's the league. If you win, you're great. If you lose, you're terrible. But we always hang our hat on when people lose. And that's what you do. When you lose, you say everybody did something wrong.
I think you're wrong on Ryan Pace hiring Sean Payton.
I'll let you tell it.
He was not there when they hired Sean Payton?
No.
So what was his tenure with the New Orleans Saints?
Okay. So what I like. So first off, before we get into all this,
go ahead, family.
I just feel I still don't understand your stance on why you think Ryan Pace should still be here.
I do the pros and cons of everything. I look at what you did right and what you did wrong. So when you compare the two lists, what do you see?
I know what you're looking at is you look at and I'm fine with that. You look at more so X's and O's, and I dive into like
you was in charge when something bad happened.
The culture. Nah, that's not it.
No?
Nah.
That's what it sounds like. You and Park sound like if you were in charge when some shit went wrong, your ass need to go.
Okay, so Tom Benson and Mickey Loomis made two decisions hiring Sean Payton as head coach.
What was Ryan Pace's tenure with the New Orleans Saints?
He was not the person who hired Sean Payton.
Okay. Stand corrected. He didn't hire Sean Payton. He wasn't there when they won the championship. What was his tenure there with the New Orleans Saints? Because that's where he came from.
By the time he left, he was the director of pro personnel.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
What does that mean? Is what I'm asking. Like,
absolutely.
No, this is what I'm asking. If you go in there for an interview and you don't have anything to show that you did well where you left, from before, you don't have a good shot at getting a job.
See, it's all about politics, though. So sometimes that's not always true, right?
No, they
that's
always
true.
follow
That's
the
true
trend
if
in
you
the
got
NFL.
melanin in your skin.
Well,
but
no, that shit don't matter for us. We don't get a pass on shit. But the white boys, if you work with somebody who they could deem as brilliant, they feel like you're brilliant.
Regardless of what the fuck you've done.
Even if you ain't proven it.
Exactly.
I'm curious to see where Byron Leftwich go after the season. I'm curious to see where Bieniemy go from Kansas City after this season. Because I'm telling you right now,
what's crazy is all his other predecessors then landed head coaching jobs.
Now, if you give Matt Nagy a job because he worked with Andy Reid, and Matt Nagy didn't even call the goddamn plays. Eric Bieniemy is calling the plays, right? Let's see if he get a job, because he didn't get a job this last season.
What would you get? Would you give Bieniemy a shot here?
Would you hire him? What team you think will hire Eric Bieniemy?
I would look at Eric Bieniemy, but I don't know if Eric Bieniemy would come here.
Well, he's not coming here
after Matt Nagy.
Right, they're not fucking with him.
But we just talking about hypothetically speaking.
But put it like this, to the skills question. If we're fall of 2022, if we're kicking off the NFL season and Eric Bieniemy's not a head coach, something's wrong.
He should have been a head coach this year,
and he should have been a head coach already.
He should have been a head coach this year.
Something's wrong.
No,
he's shown that he's the one that calls the plays.
But he gonna get a fair shake because of the Rooney Rule.
But this is what I'm saying.
Right?
This is what I'm saying. Well, you know, the Rooney Rule is a bunch of bullshit. But this is what I'm saying. The kind of people who are out here, we know what this is, right? And I'm not saying it's okay. Just like with the Bruce Arians thing, we know how coaches are. It don't mean it's okay, right? But we know what it is, right? It's a difference. If you want to fight the fight, fight the fight. But don't be the naive guy that think it's going to change overnight for you. This is how the league is. You the white boy, you work with somebody important, you got a job, and we're going to overpay.
Yeah.
You the black guy, you work for somebody and bust your ass, we need somebody to vouch for you before we give it to you. That's what it is in the league, right? Somebody else is going to get a job they don't deserve. I feel like, honestly, Matt Nagy got a job he didn't deserve because he took credit for something he didn't do. Eric Bieniemy is physically doing it. Byron Leftwich is physically doing it. And I'm telling you, neither one of them are going to be a head coach next year.
I would say, while I want Eric Bieniemy to be a coach,
I'm on live too, y'all, by the way.
I think you can make the argument like shit. The same thing that Matt Nagy went through. Like, look, what is the common denominator between Eric Bieniemy and Matt Nagy? It's Andy Reid. Yeah, like, but that's the part
Eric calls the plays. Matt Nagy never called the plays. So
you sure about that? You sure?
I am sure about that.
Okay.
I am sure about that.
All right.
Andy Reid was still calling plays when Matt Nagy was there. He gave.
Don't make us Google that shit.
Now you
man.
can Google that shit. Now I can stand on that. Eric Bieniemy is physically calling plays. You see Byron Leftwich on the goddamn sideline working with Tom Brady on the offense.
Tom Brady is the offensive coordinator at Tampa Bay.
So what? How many?
Do not.
I am gonna do that.
Do not.
Because they gave people opportunities for less than that shit.
No, Tom
These
Brady
guys
is
deserve
the OC
opportunity,
of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's true. So the same thing with Peyton Manning.
He tells him what they want to do.
Peyton Manning did the same thing.
Like, and that's gonna get
Drew Brees did the same thing.
With a coaching job eventually.
Guys are getting jobs.
Let's not say he's in the office like, okay, I think I want Tom to do this. No, Tom is like, this what we doing.
But that's not the criteria to get the job. So, we all know what the truth is behind the scenes. We know if Tom don't like it ain't going. We know it.
Yeah.
So Byron Leftwich ain't Tom.
That's Tom Brady we talking about.
Right. He's not going saying, Tom, I don't care if you like it or not. Your ass run my plays. That's not real. We know that, right? But they get jobs based off their affiliation. Sure. Black coaches don't. That's all I'm saying.
Say that again.
Eric Bieniemy deserves opportunity because they gave Matt Nagy one. They should have gave him one. Byron Leftwich deserved opportunity.
No argument from me on that.
They're not going to get one.
Okay, so here's my question. If you understand that, why are you vouching so hard for Ryan Pace? Go.
I ain't vouching for him. I'm just looking at the pros and the cons. That's it.
I'm just fucking with him.
I'm looking at pros and cons with what I see what somebody did. I can look at some picks and some trades that you made that's bad. And I can look at some picks and some trades you made that really helped us. And as an organization, you got to say, if I feel like you haven't done enough to help us, I want to get somebody else. I don't think the Bears is going to do that. I think they're going to keep his ass for 1 year, and they're going to find another coach.
For sure.
And if they win with whatever coach they have, they're not even going to talk about Brian Pace in that way again.
Yeah, I feel like the Chicago Bears.
We desperate to win.
Again, and I know this thing is like a mythical creature that I'm talking about, but I do feel like it's a culture thing. And when somebody asks, like, what the fuck is what's the culture thing? Like,
that's a big deal.
It's huge, and I don't think Ryan Pace is that guy. Like, even when you described it, how he's drafted really good players, it don't mean he can go to the crib after he done drafted players. That whole scenario, as far as just being an integral part of the growth of the organization, is key, right? Because who the fuck is, okay, so when you think about who Ryan Pace is, who he is, people, the fans may not be talking about him like that, right?
Not really.
But people around the league know who he is.
Yeah.
And that holds stake in free agency. It holds stakes in agents, like coercing their young guys to want to come here. It's just a whole culture thing.
The culture.
So I think, go ahead, Vince.
The culture thing, it's, as much as I think.
Am I holding too much stake in that?
As much as I think Pace should lose his job, and he should, and as much as I think Nagy should lose his job, right? For football, your culture, it's a top-down thing. And I think at some point you got to point the finger at the people who are making the hires. And like you,
absolutely, you
right,
do.
like
Cass.
you have, and we've been saying this even in the, when we were kids in the 80s when the Bears were winning 10, 11, 12 games every year. Everybody was like, oh, the McCaskies this, the McCaskies that, right? That's your one common denominator, is that you got the McCaskies. You have McCaskies who are in control of this organization. And in control of this organization, you have people who.
What are they in control of, Parks? What are they truly in control of? A business.
Yeah, it's their
a business.
It's their business. And so the question you have to ask, and I think you can ask it before this, and I think after what happens in the next couple of weeks, you should ask it going forward. Is winning and winning championships important? Or is it just you're looking at the fact that, let's say 10, 15 years ago, your team was worth $1 billion, and now your team is worth $3.5 billion. If it's just the appreciation of the value of your business, and that's what's important to you, cool. I would say people who are Bears fans,
that's some Jerry Reinsdorf shit right there.
Y'all need to jump off. We need to get off the bandwagon and find. No, seriously, we need to get off the bandwagon and find some other shit to do. But if they're truly serious about winning, what they do in the next, what's today, Thursday? What they do in the next 72 hours or so, it'll tell you all you need to know. I lean towards we already know what it is, but I think you can probably finalize your answer in what they do in the next,
I think that's our thing. I think that's the biggest thing that we miscommunicate with anytime we talk about this. So I'm glad you said this. I can make this clear. When I talk about what they do, I understand what they are. It's a business. I know the difference between when you got people in the office that were ex-football players that was like all invested on winning, you see a different kind of culture.
Yeah.
When it's a business, you see that culture. The Chicago Bears is a goddamn business. I was just at the game last week against the Giants, who wasn't shit. It was felt like it was 20 degrees out there. It was snow in the seats.
I could have went to that game.
Bro, I had a great time. The sun came out on us.
Yeah,
so it was better than we thought. But it was snow in the seats, Parks. It was that kind of game. Yeah. It was a full house for a 6-10 football team, bro.
But that you know what?
It's a full house.
You know why though? Because no matter what the politics is for that particular team, football culture supersedes that.
Right.
And they understand that.
You know, so that's why they don't give a fuck.
No, it's when you win, you make more money. When you win, you can charge more for the tickets.
But they don't.
Well, the Bears do it anyway. But when you win, no, look at it this way. The Bears has charged $50 extra a year for tickets for the last 15, 20 years, right? So every year they go up on the tickets. Whether they win or lose, they go up on the tickets. Mm-hmm. If you win, right, you can go up more on the tickets that people will pay for. You can go more on the memorabilia and people will pay for more for jerseys. When you're winning, you're worth more money. So they want to win. The difference is...
Yeah, you think they really care?
If you want that...
So check it out, right? Well,
they don't want to just make even.
Let's put this in perspective. So let's just say the Bears are making $1.2 billion a year.
Okay.
And spending 800,000. Okay. No, let's just say in expenses, right? And they're losing franchise. They're terrible. Now, when they start winning, let's just say that now they're winning. They done won a Super Bowl. They're worth $3.2 billion.
Right.
They've spent $2.1 million. Let's try to figure out where. Do the math on that and see
how we can improve.
Does it make sense
to
spend all this money on winning? Is the compensation more, or is because I know I'm engulfed in a football culture that I will make $1.2 billion and spend like well under $1 million doing it?
Well, it's both, right? And this is the problem that
you know what I'm saying. Though?
I know what you're saying, and it's both for them. Because they want the bottom line. They don't want to make less than what they typically make that they can count on, but they want to make more than that if they possibly can. But
without spending money. You know what I mean?
But they spent money on players for the last 3 years. They spent a shitload of money on some players. Khalil Mack is getting a dumbass contract with the Bears. Like, they spending money on certain players. But this is the thing. When you lose... Right? When you're losing and the fans still come to support the team, they take advantage of that because they know they're still going to make what they make.
Sure.
So that's the Bears. All of our life. Yep. The Bears has only been good a handful of fucking times in 20 years, right? Mm-hmm. But games are typically sold out. You can count it on one hand, literally. Every year the games are typically sold out. When it's a blizzard, when it's freezing cold, they still sold out, right? So they take advantage of that. But this is also the other part. When we can get people excited about our team is when we know we can get our money. Nobody was excited about this team in the draft because they felt like we don't have a chance to get nobody good in the draft. That's everybody in Chicago felt like we was going to get a defensive player in the draft. When he was able to get Justin Fields, everything changed. Yep. I went to the preseason games, Mel. Everybody in that
loving
field
that boy.
wanted to see the kid play. Yep. When the kid played bad, everybody wanted to see him out there again. When I was there last week, they were mad that the kid wasn't playing and Andy Dalton was playing. When they had nothing to play for, he gave the city something to get excited about again, which is going to put more people in the seats, which is going to make more money. Yep. He did the Bears a solid business-wise.
And he on a rookie contract.
So we keeping him because he just brought excitement back to the team. Yeah. But this coach, he can get the fuck up out of here.
Okay. All right. So... with that being said, it looks like we still are at a standstill. Yeah. He still thinks Ryan Pace should
I can't wait till next week when we see that he's still hired.
Yeah.
I can't wait till next week. Because I promise you, he will still be there.
So let's do this. I think we done did it today, man. We done had some dialogue. Yeah. And we done, touched on a lot of things. We always end with the Bears, courtesy of you.
Well, thank God there ain't gonna be no more season after Sunday, so I ain't have to be bothered with that shit.
Nigga, we finna haunt your dreams with this shit, nigga.
But Ryan Pace will still be employed next week.
Okay, all right. And if he's not, okay, let's do this. Right? Let's do it. What can let's put a wager on this.
I want to do that. I wanted to spare y'all from that. But if you want to do it, we can do it.
So, Vince, you in now?
I'm in.
You in?
I love it.
All right.
I love it.
So if Ryan Pace is still the GM of the Bears Well, first, so we gotta wait. Okay, so let's do this.
Monday will be the day that it's
Hold
announced.
on. So whenever Nagy's demise happens,
Monday.
give us. You gotta at least give us 2 weeks after. You got to.
Just to see?
Just to see
You
how.
got to give
I'm
us
okay
2
with
weeks
that.
after
I'm
because
okay with that.
they may not
Just see how it
fire them at the same time.
Yeah.
So
Typically they do though.
All right.
Agree.
Can you give us 2 weeks?
I give you 2 weeks. That's how
All
sure
right.
I am. I can
So-
give you 2 weeks.
So once that takes place, here's what we'll do.
Wait, what's what?
Fuck it. Whoever loses has to buy. Man, that's too easy. So you gotta bring the bottle,
Okay.
and then
Make a public apology.
you gotta bring
I
the
don't mind
bottle,
that.
make a public apology, and you have to agree with everything. Whoever loses, like I gotta agree with everything you say.
That's gonna be a fun ass show. Cause I'm gonna bring up so much shit to take advantage of that shit. You don't even understand what you just
So
did.
you heard it here.
Yeah,
So-
and I agree.
We gotta bring. So that means
2 weeks though.
So that means if both of us lose, there has to be 2 bottles on deck.
Fam,
So that means if you lose, you gotta buy 2 bottles.
that's okay.
You gotta buy 2 bottles, and you gotta agree. I still want your personality because
You
it's
gonna
great.
get it.
But
You
you
gonna
have
get I'm gonna make
but
it
you
good
have
for
to
you.
agree.
It's gonna sound
with
good to agree on all y'all
everything we say, and you gotta do it with passion.
No problem.
You know what, Mel? That was a perfect point you made,
Bro.
and I agree with it 100%.
I'm
Like,
gonna
I
be
can't
great
find
at
nothing
that.
wrong in what
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna be great at that. Let me tell you
right.
this. It's not gonna happen. So when I win, and both of y'all have to do that shit with me, it's gonna be one of the most fun times I've done this show ever.
It's a bet.
So it's a bet. It is a bet.
Wait.
This
Maggie
is
will be fired on Monday. Brian Pace will not be fired.
right. So give us 2 weeks.
I'll give
us
you 2.
2 weeks
I'll
after.
give you 2.
All right.
I'll give you 2.
So with that being said, fellas, this is the 606 Whateva Podcast 2 of.
All right.